So this is the poem that I wrote about this when I went walking with my close friend on the East Coast and our dogs. We walk along an early spring path, newly green and shyly budding. It is the dog's turn to bound and pull in an exuberant leaf dance set to a riot of fine, fresh smells he had for a sniff. Tails high and wide-mouthed smiles, they establish rank and position while we explore the world within us and challenge old paradigms. Around us, the winter trees stretch and shoot for pale sun and gauzy clouds that only hint at summer. A new world of conversation, walk, and season begins with tentative steps and readiness for new steps to impress on old concepts. Like the dogs on a track, we start and stop and lead in new directions, impulsive and open.
Let's see, let's guess. Do I introduce? Hey, speak up.
You too, Jim.
Come on, Mike.
You need to speak up too.
Hey, Jim, from now on, we really need to have him. When that come up. It said we should, when we're introducing, we should have the mic go to whoever, or they need to
We
come
are
up.
going to bring the microphone to you. Yeah, so who's next? Don.
I'd like to introduce my dear friend, Amanda Neely, who is interested in joining our club. And she'll significantly make a difference in the golf world.
Let's see, Renee, is that you? Here you go.
This is my guest. This is Hannah Mason. She's in the car department at Evergreen, our fearless leaders. They do all the back end magic. She has gone to school for international business, and I thought it'd be really great to show her here, and you think it's a great idea.
Wonderful.
Yes, I was delighted to hear that Hannah would be a guest because she's a very dear friend of mine and does pet sitting in addition, and she's better to my dogs than I am.
Ellen Johnson is here. She doesn't really need an introduction, but welcome, Ellen. Let's see. What we're gonna do today, we have a really full agenda as usual. We always do. We have a student above self award, and we'd like to get to that. We'd like to do our speaker quickly. So we will do the announcements at the end. We also have some awards to them. So we'll do those later. So for now, I want to remind board members, we have the stand-up board meeting after this meeting, so stick around. We need a quorum of 8, so please stick around. Won't get long. Okay, where is Lisa? Lisa.
Today, it is my pleasure to announce our April Student Service Above Self Award winner from Illinois Valley High School. And his name is Randy, and I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, so I'm gonna say Huang.
You got a thumbs up. You got a thumbs up.
And today, his college and career advisor, Mona Tauke, will introduce him.
Hello. It is such an honor to introduce.
No sound.
Oh, no sound?
Tell her there's
You
no
can't hear
sound.
me?
No sound.
It's on our end.
I can hear you on Zoom.
The TV needs to go.
Oh, my fault. Hang on. I've got her muted. My fault.
I can hear you.
Can you hear me
Renee.
now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead,
Well,
go ahead.
it is such an honor to be the one to introduce you to such an exceptional young man. He's not only an outstanding student, but he also just has an amazing character. So I just wanted to share a few things about him. Randy Huang is very intelligent, like I mentioned, and he's an inquisitive young man who is serious about his education and his future. He is a diligent student who is constantly challenging himself by taking a rigorous course schedule. And he always strives to get the most out of his education, which is such an amazing quality. Besides being an excellent student, Randy participates in so many positive youth development activities. He's our ASB president here at Illinois Valley High School. He's a member of his school's cross country and track team. He's in mathletes, in leadership, and also a member of the Smile Club and Project Youth Plus. And I just can't say enough positive things about him. He's also our 2024 class salutatorian too, we just found out. So I'm so happy to introduce you to Randy. Do you want Randy to say a few words?
Yeah.
I'm not very prepared for this, but thank you so much for selecting me for the Service Over Self Award. I really appreciate the gifts, and I think my friends really appreciate them because I bought them a few gifts as well. Thank you so much.
Awesome. What do you plan on doing, Jim?
Randy, we have a little ritual, and we would like to ask you a few questions now. So are there any questions out there? Great. Future plans. What are your future plans?
My future plan is to become a civil engineer and attend at OSU. I plan to work on Oregon's like natural water resources, especially like building dams, aquifers, and canals.
And Randy, something I didn't mention, Randy just interviewed yesterday. He was a Ford finalist for the Ford Family Scholarship.
Randy, can you tell us a little bit about the Smile Club?
The Smile Club.
Pardon?
They want to know more about the Smile Club.
Oh, so the Smile Club is basically a STEM club that involves science, technology, engineering, and maths. And so we have these meetings every week where we do little science projects. Last week we separated like DNA from strawberries, which I think is pretty interesting.
Wow. I remember doing that in high school. Okay, any other questions? Well, Randy, congratulations, and you mentioned you're a runner, man after my own heart, and good luck in your track season, and good luck with your future plans. And congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Okay, let's see, where is Judy? I think it's your turn. Yes. Yes.
Do you wanna?
Let's mute.
Well, hello, everyone. Don't forget, if you didn't fill out one of the green cards, 2 truths and a lie, I have them back where I'm sitting and we can get them later. And it is my pleasure today to introduce Sarah Wendy. She is a small business owner here in town. And I met her about a year ago when I was getting ready to go on a Smithsonian trip to Paris, up to Normandy and back. And you had to sign this paper that said, you can walk for 2 miles, you can stand for 2 hours, you can go up and down stairs without a rail. And I thought, ooh. I spoke with Hyla, listen, and she said, you need to go see Sarah. And so that's what I did. That's how I met Sarah, and she's been helping me with various things. So for me, like going to see her is a little bit like jamboree for seniors. But anyway, she trains a wide range of ages and skill levels. She has been working in the healing arts world for over 20 years as a Pilates instructor, personal trainer, yoga, and meditation instructor, and she's a licensed massage therapist. She owns and operates Grants Pax Healing Arts and teaches in the massage therapy program at OCC. She's passionate about people and helping with relieving pain in an integrated way. She works to help people improve strength, confidence, body awareness, and self-acceptance. She will speak to us about how regular somatic styles of movement and massage can help us be more balanced and present. She also has some massage practitioners working with and for her, and also what I would call a holistic facial person. So please help me welcome Sarah.
Thank you for having me here today. And we have a slideshow that's going to start.
Whoops.
Maybe.
Yep. Go ahead, give me 1 second.
So if anybody in the room have practiced Pilates? Oh, my. I think it comes out the side. Has anyone in the room practiced Pilates, yoga, received massage, meditation? And so what are some of the things that you might notice after you have had a session or received a massage? You can just shout them out. Yes.
I just got out one.
Yes.
Things under my eyes, straight up to the back.
Yeah, more relaxed, maybe a little bit more in your body. Yeah. And so, trauma, stronger, yeah, stronger. More awareness of yourself in space, so you have a little more of a grounded feeling. So for the talk today, what I wanted to do, because somatic movement and the somatic nervous system has become such a big thing in the world, if you tune into that, you'll hear more about it. And so the idea with the somatic nervous system and the fight or fight response that we have, and how that came about to be more prevalent in our society today within us, and how somatic approaches and movement can help with finding that ground and that balance within ourselves. So we can go to the next slide.
Maybe. Oops, too far. This one?
So yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
So first, we'll talk about what is fight or flight, why is it so prevalent in our community? What is the somatic nervous system? How can somatic nervous systems help? The concept of fascia, which massage therapists, we work with the fascia, especially with touch. And how the issues within the tissues, have you guys heard that before, that concept? So whatever we go through, trauma, our experiences get stored into the body. And so how we can approach touch and movement to help find a way of resetting our nervous system. Mindful movement, meditation, massage can help with that resetting and stress response. So what is fight or flight? So any of us that have had trauma in our lives, which everyone has to some degree, it could be surviving COVID, it could be a car accident, it could be losing a dear loved one, it could be maybe going through a divorce. But there are all things that affect us in different ways. And then that trauma creates this response where we go into this flight or fight mode. And so once that's triggered, it has this rippling effect that then we are in this fight or fight mode. If we don't do the healing work, we're in that fight or fight mode for other stress responses when we don't need to be, right? And so it might be something where you're driving in traffic and there's a long traffic stop, or you're waiting in line, and actually that stress can trigger a response that's unnecessary in your body. And so we have to do things to reset that and to heal that, to come back to a place where you aren't living in that fight or fight mode. So, let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So why is it so prevalent in our society? We have the chronic stress, trauma, illness, environmental factors, the demands. We kind of live in a society where it's somehow believed that we need to push through pain, that we need to work sometimes 7 days a week. There's a constant competitive aspect that's out there. So all these things are adding to this heightened level of stress all the time, right? So then we have these traumatic events, and so with this heightened level of stress, we're in that fight or flight all the time. Interesting things, the statistic with COVID is that anxiety is quadrupled. I actually think mental health has really been on the rise since COVID. So, we've all survived COVID, and now we have to do all this unwinding and it's like peeling back those layers as we come back into society and returning to ourselves and healing ourselves in that process. Okay, let's go to the next one. So the somatic nervous system, where this comes in, because the nervous system is divided into your central and your peripheral, right? And the flight or fight is actually the parasympathetic and the sympathetic portion. Can you actually go down a couple slides? Right there is perfect. So in the central nervous system, we have the sympathetic and parasympathetic. The peripheral is where we get the sensory. We can go back through and help with that sympathetic parasympathetic response by working with the somatic nervous system. Somatic meaning of the body. And so when we do anything that brings ourselves into our body, so it'll be like movement or touch while connecting in a way where you have to be present. So if you go out and you run or you are doing weightlifting, and maybe you're not really present with yourself, you're just doing it for the release, which is very beneficial and positive and good, but it's a different effect than when you actually are having to, not that you can't do this when you're running or weightlifting too, because I think those are beautiful things, but you have to develop it to be able to maintain it at that high intensity level. Does that make sense? So to develop it, you want to have ways where you can tap into where is my ribcage? Where's my pelvis? Where's my breath when I'm doing these things? Is my breath connected to my movement? So all these things start to develop that mind-body connection, which helps us to, from a somatic perspective, repair that fight or flight response. Okay, so let's go back up and just back up. So the somatic nervous system is a division of the peripheral nervous system. It's really a lot of all that fascia, which our whole body is fascia, right? And so we have a ton of nerve endings in that fascia. With massage, that's where it really comes in because we have that touch and that contact with that. It also plays into working with the senses. So what do I smell right now? What do I hear right now? What are the sounds? Tapping into those, pulling yourself into the present moment as you're doing movement. Somatic dysfunction can be defined as an altered or impaired dysfunction or functioning of the somatic division of the peripheral nervous system or any of its related components. So looking at the body as a whole, and so if you have one thing going on, it's going to directly affect another, right? Same with the fascia, it's all connected. So even though we're going from in the nervous system looking at the somatic angle, have an effect on the parasympathetic and sympathetic, they're connected. Okay. It's often multifaceted. The fight or flight can have a disconnect from our body, and that's where that issues lives in the tissues. We store it, we survive, we freeze during trauma. Yeah, let's go ahead and go to the next one. Yeah. So there are a lot of different ways to help to calm that fight or flight response. Without having movement or just developing mindfulness within yourself, it might be having techniques where you arrive in the present moment and come into your body. So if we were to do that in this moment right now, it might be, what do I see? What do I hear? What do I feel? As I look around the room, I notice that it's very simple. It almost sounds like, how did this work? This is so simple. But that technique of just taking your time and looking at what's around you and then what sounds you hear actually causes you to arrive more in your body. So that simple technique can take with you anywhere. And so taking that then to the next level, go ahead and let's get a diaphragmatic breath. Let's go down a little more. A little more. So any movement that connects the mind and body, when you're doing movement, taking the senses to the next level. So it's not just now, what do I hear? What do I see? What do I smell? But it's what do I feel? How does this movement feel? Am I connecting my breath with the movement? Where is the relationship of my pelvis and my ribcage when I do this movement? When we have ourselves in the most efficient alignment, which is where Pilates can really come in, then we actually have more oxygenation. When we do that style of breath in Pilates, it's a lateral costal style, you can get 30% more oxygenation. When approaching the body with Pilates, it's all about alignment and looking at the correlation between the different body parts and how they most optimally function together. To achieve that, you have to arrive in your body. When you arrive in your body, then you're tapping into the somatic nervous system. And that's something that can play out into any part of your life. Same thing with yoga. Yoga is a little bit different. With Pilates, you just have one breath style. Yoga has many breath styles that are more focused for a specific need. And yoga, there's this component of when you step onto your mat, you arrive into yourself. Ultimately, I mean, that's what we would want to achieve, right? So naturally, both in yoga and Pilates, you're achieving a somatic approach. We have gone beyond that currently, and now we've become more sophisticated with somatic movement, and you'll see somatic movement that is very, very slow and gives you more space to tap into what you're feeling and what you're experiencing in your body. Okay? So with these styles of movement, you're learning to develop more self-awareness. I see a spelling there, and a typo in mind-body connection. And the examples might be Pilates, yoga, tai chi, and qigong, or just very, very slow guided movement where you have that space. So let's go ahead and questions you might ask yourself to increase that in your exercise, which I think we went over, I said a little bit, but how do I feel right now? How do I feel in my body right now? What am I engaging when I do this movement? Can I notice the correlation between different parts of my body as I do this movement? Am I breathing? What is my breathing like during this movement? Is it aligned and supporting each part of the movement? What comes up for me emotionally, can I observe myself without judgment, without the need to disconnect for myself? So when we get into a faster paced exercise sometimes, part of it is a decompression, right? There's also can be an element of disconnect, not always. Just like when you go to a yoga class and it's too advanced for you, what are you doing? You're looking around to see what people are doing in the room and trying to keep up. You then step out of your body. Not that you can't do an advanced level and stay with your body, but by doing the slower pace, you have space to develop that skill to stay with yourself. Then you take that and you go to a faster pace and you have more power, you have less chance of injury, you have just more great benefit from that faster pace, whatever it might be, whatever form of exercise it is. Does that make sense? Okay. Let's go ahead and go back up to the yeah. So the fascia. So when we talk about the fascia is another big topic. Somatic and fascia are both kind of swimming around a lot right now. And so fascia is connective tissue that is literally throughout our whole entire body, around every organ, around the outside of those organs, around the attachment points of the muscles. And you could, if you removed everything in your body but the fascia, your body would still have shape. It wouldn't function and it wouldn't work right, but it would still have shape. So you have that much. And if you are looking, the fascia is connected from your head to your toe. So when you're addressing and working with the fascia as a massage therapist, which in the somatic world is where a lot of these nerve endings are, right? You are addressing the whole body because you can't work on one part without having an effect somewhere else. So it's a real nice approach of looking at the whole entire body as one. Okay, it's multidimensional. It's made up of collagen and elastic, sorry. Fascial restrictions affect our flexibility, our stability, and are a determining factor in our ability to withstand stress and perform daily activities. So having that mind-body connection, having that flow, having that fluidity, which you're going to achieve with this approach to movement and using benefits of massage, you're actually going to glide better in your body, right? Because you have that fluidity there. So when you go out to do your other movements, you're going to have more functioning capability, less injury chance, and you're going to have a mind-body connection and benefit that you maybe wouldn't have. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's go
Down?
Yeah.
How far?
Let's keep going. And right there. So going into massage and the somatic nervous system. Massage can be a particularly powerful support for the nervous system's health because it helps to balance and regulate the vital functions of the autonomic nervous system. So it helps to relax and reestablish proper responses to the stimulus through its effect on the neuromuscular reflex pathways. That's probably the one statement that really connects to the somatic nervous system in them. So the idea and the concept with this approach, whether it's massage, meditation, or movement, is we're resetting. So we aren't stuck in that fight or flight. So we have to heal and reset so that we cannot stress our adrenals, so we aren't more prone to disease. If we stay in that fight or flight, we start having sleep problems. We start having blood pressure problems. We start having all these health things that can come up because we are staying in this state that is taxing our body. Our cortisol levels are off. Everything gets thrown off if we stay there for too long. We're amazing. Our body design is amazing to withstand so much, but we are not in the times that we used to be where we had to run from a predator or we had to kill a predator, where we needed that adrenaline rush. So when we have these traumatic responses that create this fight or fight, if we don't do the work to heal them, then we have exaggerated responses to normal things in life. And a lot of us get stuck there. Okay, so massage would be a nice way. It's not so much like as you aren't tapping into your senses unless you are doing guided meditation with the massage, but just the touch on the fascia actually has a benefit to the somatic nervous system, reduces your cortisol levels, makes you feel relaxed. You can feel more balanced and grounded, so it can actually give you a different emotional perspective. Okay, so go to the next one.
Down.
Yeah. So how does meditation help with all of this? Does anybody in here meditate regularly? Awesome. That's such a good, I love that. Okay, and so what do you feel when you meditate? What is the benefit for you? Anyone?
I meditate before I go to bed, so that's.
Helps you sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone else? Relaxation. Yeah. Focus, absolutely. Yeah. Anyone?
Balance.
Balance. Yeah. So the style of meditation that I teach and practice is called Vipassana. And it's a concept of having an object that you focus on, and so, which is breath. And with focusing on breath, you're gonna have all the stuff in the world that comes up around you. And during meditation, it might be, especially when you first start, 500 times that you have this stimulus that comes in, and you have to return to your breath, which is that object or that focus. And so as you increase the time that you've been meditating, it might go from 500 to 100, but it's probably always going to be there. But you're practicing in your brain, I'm not going to be on these things that are out here that are just activating me. Instead, I'm going to come back here. And you're doing that over and over, and the more you do that, you create space between what's happening and how you choose to respond to it. And so to me, as we get older, you know how when we're younger, we can be more reactive sometimes without thinking. As you get more mature, you're like, oh, I don't want to reflect, maybe I don't want to react that way. It kind of happens, hopefully, as we get older. Meditation increases that by a long shot. For me, has been my experience and what I've seen in other people. So by having that choice internally of how I'm going to respond to this, allows us to have the space to then decide if we want to have that fight or flight response. So you can choose, you can observe it and notice, do I want to have, you can observe yourself, there's enough space there to see, is my heart starting to race? Am I starting to freeze emotionally? Am I thinking so much about this that I'm drinking coffee and not eating? You know, all these things we do that can add up that are creating more stress and inflammation in our body, right? So if you have that space, you can step back and say, I'm not going to go into that reaction space. I'm not going to go into that fight or flight, or I'm going to work on not going into it, right? Because it all takes work. So you also increase the mindfulness, which mindfulness is that return to present and return to self. Okay. And then how am I doing on time? 3 minutes? Okay. Go ahead and scroll down. I think that was it. Okay. I have a little video, but I think we got the gist of it. Does anybody have any questions? We do a lot of yes.
So, you know, I have a problem remembering to breathe, like.
Yes. Yeah.
Even just sitting here.
Yeah.
Like relaxing my
Yes.
shoulders.
Yes.
I find it like, oh, and, relaxing my shoulders.
Yeah.
Do you have like quick and easy things?
Points on that?
Myself. Repeat the question.
So the question is, sometimes when she's focused or
Yeah.
she forgets to breathe. So what are some things that you can do to bring yourself back into your body? When you're in that moment. I actually, it's going to sound very strange, but if you have like something that you wear around your wrist or on your finger or on your neck, and it can be a reminder, and you can hold it and count. I know that sounds very strange, but hold it and count your breath. Count, inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, exhale, 2, 3. Maybe it's 3 counts, maybe it's 4. Counting and breathing automatically will take your brain back to where it needs in that moment. So that's one thing. But for you to already have that awareness that this is something that's happening to me, that opens up the door, and then you create it, you know, you might think of it twice, you know, today. And then maybe 5 times tomorrow. And then it will increase. And then as you start to develop that skill set, it's going to go back. And you're going to have more relaxation and more presence. Any question? Yeah.
I work with a lot of trauma victims with 6 months of crisis after 9/11.
Oh, yeah.
And
That's a big
a
deal.
lot of the people who were survivors there found that massage was extremely helpful, and as they found that massage was extremely helpful to reduce the trauma.
Yes.
Because of what it did to the high cortisol levels.
Exactly. Yes.
And
You're going to give me the microphone.
yeah, what I was saying is that, after 9/11, massage was extremely important to a lot of the survivors because the trauma increased cortisol levels, it increased, the adrenaline and the endorphins and decreased the happy chemicals, serotonin and dopamine. And so massage was very helpful and worked in some ways to help people even remember their experiences, because when you go into fight or flight, your hippocampus part of your brain shuts down.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
I was reading an article recently about tapping, and I wondered if you could talk about that.
I don't have any training in tapping, I have done it before, but the way that I understand tapping is it's an automatic change. And so you're having that switch in your brain so that you're going to another place. But that would be like more under somatic therapy, which would be, but I think it's beautiful. Yeah, I like tapping a lot, I've seen a lot of positive benefit with it. Yeah. Yes.
So Sarah, so I think at the beginning you sort of mentioned that,
Use the microphone then.
so I wanted to clarify each other. So sort of this meditation while exercising is a good thing or a better way of exercising. Is that correct? Am I understanding? And then is that how you meant it?
Yeah. So I don't know that I think any form of exercise is good, but I don't want to discount exercise that doesn't have a somatic approach. I think that when you become present with your mind and connect the mind body with exercise, you can get more benefits out of your exercise. You might have the ability to have less chance of injury, and more longevity in your exercise. Does that help?
Way back when I was still studying things, we learned that kinesthetics
Yeah.
is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So if you're aware of the movement,
Yeah.
it's a sense that you have to control.
Yes. Absolutely. Sorry.
Thank you for your presentation today. How amazing. I just want to say, as I'm a 10 out of 10 on the ACEs score, and I will say that I spent the first 30 years of my life really trying to undo that. And somatic work was the answer for me, no question. And I did every therapy you could think of, and it really was an immediate game changer. I do all types of somatic work, and 100% it is the answer. Yeah.
I just want to switch over to ask you a question about how you did during COVID as a small business owner, because I'm interested in supporting small businesses, and how was it?
Well, I had some time off. So massage therapist, and movement was closed down by the state for a lot of it. I actually did a 300-hour meditation teacher training, and I did a bunch of self work, which was wonderful. I was thankful that I was able to get through it financially, but I think that even if you get through something financially, doesn't mean you don't suffer, and so at this point, I feel like, as a lot of us feel, that the rebuilding process takes time. And so I would say I'm still recovering and building back from it. But yeah. Any other questions?
Back here behind you.
Just wondering, are there any tricks to lower your, I guess, cortisol and adrenaline levels really quickly? And the example on the way here today, some woman pulled out, almost had a car accident. And I was totally innocent, but anyway. But no, she just pulled out.
They all say, Jim, they all say I was totally innocent.
She pulled out of the driveway, and, I didn't have to honk, we both slowed down, but all of a sudden, boom,
Yes,
how do you,
it's a hard one,
yeah, what do you do?
So lowering it quickly, that's a tricky one, because the more work you put in on the other end, the more you're gonna be able to respond in that moment with tools. And so if you put the work in and you have that meditation that you're doing on a daily basis, that's a perfect example that if you're doing the work already in that moment, you're gonna have more space between what happened and the response. However, in that moment, without having put the work in, having the same idea of, I will actually put a hand on my chest and a hand on my stomach, and I'll close my eyes and I count and breathe. And there's other techniques in the video that I didn't get to show you. They actually have a tool that is, you can order it, it's very cheap, and it's like a ring that you can put on your fingers. And the stimulation on the fingers and the toes has a really quick response on the somatic nervous system. And so it's a very small tool. If you want to, I can put the video on, it's very quick, but I don't want to take up more time. But you can order it, and it has this amazing response that can be quick and help with it. And just the more of the stimulation to the surface line. Yeah.
Running your hands under cold water can also be helpful in that way.
And you know, I've also been receiving
One thing you said that is more in the psycho part of the psychosomatic, is the counting, the
Yeah.
shifting brain size.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, when you start counting, get away from the PTSD part.
Yeah, that's very true. Nice. Did everybody hear that? Okay, well, I guess we gotta wrap it up. Thank you so much for having me today. I really enjoyed my time. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
That was excellent, thanks.
We always have good questions. I love the questions that each club asks. We always really get into it. It is great. We're gonna give out some awards right now, and I'll turn this over to Kurt to do that.
Okay, we always like to give out awards for Paul Harris's, levels of contribution, and today we have several members who've achieved different levels, so, quick thoughts on this, Carol? Journey, and Paul Harris, goes back quite a few years, along with mine, so you can think, well, I was in Crescent City. And along with the very husband, Tom, who were always, very supportive of the foundation and, youth exchange also. And, Tommy was when I was builder, he was the club, Dark Club's, foundation chair. So, Don, it's my pleasure to present you on behalf of the Board of Trustees of the, Rotary Foundation, the Paul Harris School. I'm going to go to when you still continue to support the foundation. We'd like to finish, continue to support the foundation.
Just I believe in Rotary 100%, and my husband, my fake husband, I didn't expect him to dance or this. But my late husband was such a wonderful man, and he loved Rotary so much, and he gave so much. And we just totally believe in what Rotary does, and that's correct.
Thank you, Don. Okay, next one we have is, Patty Bruno. She here, Patty here? Here. Patty, it's my pleasure to present you with your Paul Harris plus two. No. Paul Harris plus two.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. And then we have the husband and wife team of Jim and Jolene, Mona. Rotary hat. Well, you got one of those. It's my favorite, Jolene, actually, this two, she gets her, Paul Harris, plus one, and right her turn around, she gets, another one, Paul Harris plus two, so you have, one more to go on there. And Jim, we have a Paul Harris plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We were talking at the training seminar up in Cottage Grove, and you gave me your secrets for why you donate to the foundation and how you can make that donation and not get taxed on a couple of things. Do you want to tell me about that?
Yes, well, first of all, my hope is in Jesus Christ.
And it's with him that I can live in this world today and everything happening. One thing that we've learned is we give. Okay, we give. And we are very close with Rotary. It's one of the places that we support, one of the things we support. And the things that Rotary does in this world is fabulous. I'm retired, my wife's fine, retired, and I learned from our financial advisor when I'm 70 and a half that I can give money from my traditional IRA. And it's already been non-taxed many years ago when I put it into my traditional IRA, but now I don't have to take it and declare it as a distribution and pay tax on it now. And so today, my goal is before I'm 73, my traditional IRA is going to be gone because I will have given it all away.
Thank you, and all of you, thank you for your continued support of the Rotary Foundation. Thank you.
That's not a pain.
She is done.
Okay, thank you. We have two more things to do. We have Sergeant Lawrence. Before that, though, we have announcements to make. I'll make a couple of really fast ones. Don't forget, we have a stand-up board meeting immediately after this meeting. The four-way area-wide speech contest is here next week. I'm gonna need 2 of the 3 judges. I suppose the person from another class is gonna come on the judge as well. Anyway, you can get a quizzical look from the top. Anyway, and then don't forget Jorge Padilla from the School District 7. Suppose he brought us some flyers. He wanted us to share them around our businesses. It's about raising money for an all-inclusive playground equipment at Redwood Elementary. But he'll come back to you. Okay, let's go. Announcements. And I think you want to say something.
Okay, just a quick announcement about disgruntlement. A number of you last week were upset, mildly disgruntled with me about the results of the speech contest. And I just want to make sure that before we have the speech contest next week, that you're clear that this is a 4-way test speech contest. That 45 out of the 100 points that are awarded are directly involved with how you incorporate that into your speech. So it doesn't matter how good your speech is, you don't say anything about it, about the 4-way test. In that speech, you get 0 points on it. So just to be sure that you understand that for next week.
Thank you. Louise? Thank you.
Hi, a week from this evening, we're going to have our next social, and it will be a backstage tour of the path. So those of you who don't know a lot about our wonderful projects on that, this is a great way to get to know more about it. Hopefully we'll be able to generate enough funds so that we can meet the goal that we've surpassed a couple already, but our next goal is, Greg has said, is a platinum level. So how many? 150. So maybe during Sergeant Honors we can make that. Anyway, and after the tour, Greg and Margaret are going to host us at their house, so we'll have a little bit of snacks there. So next Thursday, the 25th, 4 o'clock, meet at the path.
Can you tell them what the package?
The Performing Arts Center is PAC, and I would defer to one of my colleagues that knows more than I. Kelly, do you want us to say what it is, or we don't have, actually, you know what?
We don't have time.
Next Thursday, come and learn. Thank you.
I got one, Jim.
Yeah.
So, little announcement, so, a number of us in the club have been working towards, a fundraiser for veterans housing project they're going. And so there's a little bit of an example of some metal yard art back there, right behind Zara there, that we've made. But that auction is gonna go live on the 25th. So please, if you're interested in buying something, buy something. Do share the auction website and Facebook and all that with others, please, if you would, because you all can make a donation or order something besides what's there that's made, so we can generate more money from other people. So, please consider sending out that email and Facebook page. Thanks. I will send you send everybody a email about it when it's live.
Okay.
About 7 more days. Or 25th, whatever that is.
Brenda, did you have, you mentioned
Oh,
someone wanted.
well, I was gonna do it with Kathy, but so I'll do it.
Whatever you like.
I have.
Not out yet.
All right, let's see. Let's see. Okay. Well, Kelly, your turn. It's time for the sergeant at arms and happy buses.
All right, so we've got lots of things to be happy about. I was going to do this talk about what has happened in women's sports. I mean, Caitlin Clark, I hope you all are familiar with what a phenom she is and other women that have stepped, young women that have stepped, and I emphasize young here because I really never, have stepped up and turned women's sports into something, a big thing. 14+ million viewers, more than the guys got, just want to say that. I watched and cheered and became hoarse and loved every minute of it. But there's a change in the wind about women's sports and how men and women are going to have to work collaboratively on the idea of sports themselves, so that women continue to get the accolades that they need to get, and money, and the recognition. But I have to stop with Caitlin because last evening, the Grants Pass City Council unanimously, I bolded that when I wrote this because, whoa, everyone in the council approved a special use permit for a new shelter. It is a new shelter site for homeless.
Okay.
The site, which is on Redwood Highway, 218 Redwood Highway, is formerly known as Parker House. I believe it's still gonna get that name. But it will have up to 15 prefabricated shelters. They're actually pallets. They're called pallet houses. They're gonna be used as transitional housing for homeless people, as well as there will be portable restroom, shower. There's already a restroom and shower in the Parker House facility. There are 2 Parker House facilities, but the one that we're using right now is Navigation. People who are medically fragile are the ones that will be prioritized to live in those pallet houses. One of the 2 existing buildings on the site then will be converted into a resource center. Cassie Leach, I couldn't do this without mentioning the chain of command in this. Cassie Leach is the director of this. Under her, Leah and Cassie, Bruce Murray, our very own Bruce Murray, they worked as a team. They were all there last night, along with many of us. We were the cheerleaders. She is the executive director, Cassie, of MINT, which you all know is the mobile integrated medical team, which provides the outreach and the medical services to the homeless people in Josephine County. She said through the outreach the group does every week, they've got people into shelters and medically treated dozens of individuals. They also got them in hospitals as needed. Cassie said, and I'm going to quote her, So that's just what we do on Thursday for a couple of hours in the park, like this morning. Being able to do that 5 days a week in that building with an amazing staff that we already have identified is gonna be pretty exciting. The site is less than a half an acre. It's in a commercial zone and is privately owned by Tom Parker. He has leased it, a 1-year agreement. The site does and will have surveillance cameras and security personnel. So much more is to be happening. And if any of you are also thinking about what was that other measure that was about charging to use the Thursday space, that's to come in an executive council meeting, okay? So stay tuned for that. All right, on that note, I'll be the first one to give. I'm giving $10 because I'm so excited that this passed unanimously. And now I'm gonna pass it.
Well, I was there last night and it was truly gratifying. All the people that were there said statements in favor of it. There was no votes. So that means as a town, we're starting to get the idea that, hey, we gotta help these folks. I mean, I don't necessarily need to personally, but I'm going to because that's the only way it's gonna get better. So, and Leonore was there and it was just really pretty good. Oh, and we had Valerie there. Great thing. Yay! She was our yes vote. So anyway, it was truly, you know, a step up, a movement forward.
So how much money you giving us?
Yeah.
Let's put it down there. All right, anybody else?
Yes.
All right, I want to give $20, because there's just so many wonderful things to give money for. First of all the guests that we had today, it's so wonderful to see these fresh new faces, and I want you all to feel welcome. Our program, what an enlightening program today was. Thank you so much. It was very informative and very timely, and I'm sure many of us got some information out of it, and or maybe even all of you. But even more excited to have my guest, Daniela Avila, and Daniela is with Project Youth Plus, and we saw one of our kids from Project Youth Plus up there, and Monique, his counselor, has been involved in our camps and will continue to be involved as Project Youth Plus has been taking over running my camps for me. I still get to be there, even though one way or another, and I've got people that can still move around doing this. I'm very grateful for that. So, welcome to Danielle, and I would like $5 for Danielle, and just a short little thing about Project Youth Plus. I want people in this club to know what Project Youth Plus is all about. It's an amazing organization taking care of all of our kids in this community, whether they be in trouble or they're superstars. They are kids. So.
Show of hands, how many of you know Project Youth Plus? Okay. Do you all know how it evolved in COVID? It became very multifaceted. Okay. If you don't, come see me, because I want to talk about it. We really were very responsive to the community, our school districts, our partners, in a beautiful way. I worked upstream and downstream in higher ed, and we saw the same issues. Project Youth Plus is on the front lines trying to help support in school and out of school in all the issues that I think you all care about. We're exploding, 1,700 students served annually. We're in 22 schools. We have 2 full GED programs. Just anything you could think of, they're really doing some exciting stuff. So we have some opportunities for you guys to come see us. I'll leave some flyers and maybe share some information so you can see our students and our staff. Thank you, Becca.
Wow, that's wonderful. And Patty can speak to us about Project Youth too.
I just have some happy bugs because I'm happy Sarah's here. And I'm happy that Hannah's here, and I'm happy that Danielle is here.
Happy morning.
These are worth seeing, by the way. I have a happy record because I really want to invite all of you to come to the social at our house next Thursday. I've been working on you know what, getting the garden ready. It's going to be outdoors. It's going to be umbrella for those who can't take the sunshine. And you'll get to see some early examples of Doug's yard art. Yes. It's an invitation we can't turn down.
So I've got a $10 challenge for anybody else wants to donate to the PAC for Greg, right? Start that off with $100 more. So 10 to start with, and then I also have 10 happy bucks as well. To start with, the high school had a strategic planning session where they had about 100 people at, and I happened to be sitting next to Daniela because we were at the career technical training sort of table, and that's what we talked about. And it was wonderful to sit there and talk to her because we come up with some ideas to commit this Rotary Club and a few other Rotary clubs to some workforce training projects for high school students, either building houses or doing something over the next few years. And it's really good when groups like the high school get people together and start talking about addressing issues and trying to find solutions to things. It really helps. But also, the next day I saw Pat, and he was at a different table, but he said they want to start building houses. The Rotary, his Rotary Club wants to start doing that. And they used to do that, sponsor a house a year, training high school students to build. So there's a lot that happens, good reasons for those things happen. I will match you $10, and it was my daughter's birthday on Monday, so I'll throw another $10 to her.
All right.
All right, PAC matches.
Here's 20.
There's 20 from Patty.
Here's 60.
Woo!
I'll put in 20 for that. Also, I wanted to tell all the members here that are, or that, all not non-members here that are guests, I'm the membership chair, so if you want to talk to me after the meeting, feel free if you're interested.
All right. Okay, how are we doing, Greg? What do we need?
Here's 10 here.
Okay, here's 5 from Lisa Higgins, here's 20 from Dawn. What do we got here? Another 20 from Tommy. Is that it? Geez, I've turned into an auctioneer. However they do it. Jim, I think we're back to you.
Done.
Oh, wait.
We're at
Oh, got cards.
I wanna sit, it's running in acknowledgement with Dawn, we were talking about the awesome things that the women are doing in sports this year. Our own Dawn was one of our ones that cracked the ceiling, running in the Olympics.
All right. The card has been picked, the 4 of diamonds. If you're holding that card. Oh.
Great meeting.
How do we do?
I don't know. She didn't count that high.
We had 8,000.
We're there. We're there. The talk of the day, first of all, I always really appreciate people like Sarah who take time out of their busy lives to come and speak to us and teach us things. And I found a quotation that I think relates. This is from a Vietnamese monk named Thich Nhat Hanh, and he says, meditation can help us embrace our worries, our fear, our anger, and that is very healing. We let our own natural capacity of healing do the work. Thank you, everybody.